Our next speaker is not in the schedule. This is a man who I met very, very recently, a very intelligent and articulate man who had an incredible story to share of defecting from the Brexit party and joining UKIP. I sincerely hope he is the first of many, and I'd really like him to briefly address you. His name is Dr. Peter Gammons. Welcome to the stage.
Well, I'm very happy to be with you today, and just a few days ago, Arnold Schwarzenegger stood here and said, "I will return," but I think it's important for us to say UKIP's here to stay.
Hear, hear.
I want to thank Chairman Kirsten and the National Executive for giving me the opportunity just to share with you for a few minutes. The advertised topic was animal welfare. And although I look after my cat very well, she has 3 passports and has been to 6 countries with me in the last 6 months. I'm instead going to just leave with you 15 steps to fulfilling our party purpose. Because today we are at a crossroads. There are issues that have to be addressed. There are divisions that have to be buried for the sake of the party. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Having come over to you, defected from the Brexit party. That's the last time I'm going to use that term. I'm going to, from now onwards, talk about that other group. Because I believe the manifesto, the policies of UKIP are what Britain really needs. And the most important thing is that we become known for our manifesto, not for side issues which have been distracting and dividing the party. One of the most obvious differences I see between UKIP and the other group is that it's built entirely around one man, whereas here at UKIP, even when the leader doesn't turn up, everything goes on as usual. In 1996, I founded a group called the Back to Greatness campaign, putting the great back into Britain, to raise up 100,000 Brits who would hold our politicians accountable for the wishes of the majority of the people. One of the issues I raised was that the Christian-based system of Britain was 86% of British people, 3% Muslim, 11% non-aligned or atheists. We are the majority. And while the majority must not force their views on others, neither must we allow minority groups to try to change our Britishness or to force their views on us. And that group has grown and grown. Last week I had 9,000 people in Wembley Arena, and next year we've booked Wembley Soccer Stadium, 30 football stadium. Sorry, I've been speaking too much to the Americans. And we booked Wembley Football Stadium, which seats 90,000 apparently. I came to realize, having been very involved with many of the leaders of the other group, that they can never be what Britain needs, because other than Brexit, they're afraid to address other issues like uncontrolled immigration and other things, and are just trying to be another politically correct political group. I became even more concerned when I saw their election of potential parliamentary candidates being carried out by people who were non-Brits, not born in Britain, of a different ethnic race, anti-white, anti-Christian, and you'll see that in many of the candidates that now they're putting forward. I tried to discuss some of my concerns, having a big following that I wanted to consider bringing into that group, and they refused to discuss them. But the problem is, Mr. Farage and the media have now tried to present UKIP as an extremist group. I've heard him say it himself, and for him to present the other group as the moderates. And many within UKIP have followed with that philosophy. It is so important, and while I believe issues like the dangers of Islam and that need to be addressed, it must not become the primary message of UKIP. We must not be distracted by side issues. We need to stick to the most brilliant manifesto that has ever been written and is the answer for Great Britain. We must stay centre-right and not be pulled to any extreme. Unfortunately, sometimes when you associate with those that are controversial or focus on one primary issue, you then become aligned as extreme. We cannot be that. We have to be the voice of the working class. We have to be the voice of the majority of British people. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
So as we move forward, may I make 15 suggestions. Number one, we must recognize that this is a great opportunity to return to the emphasis of the manifesto and to the roots of UKIP.
Yep.
Number two, we must stand up proudly as the originators and true voice of Leavers, the real party of Brexit. The other group are only a few weeks old. UKIP is, I believe, 26 years old.
Yep.
September 1993. Happy birthday, September. Turn to somebody, say happy birthday. 26 years is a great amount of time, something you should be proud of. And we look forward to the next 26 years. Number three, we must be seen as presenting a positive message to the nation and not a negative message. The emphasis is not on what we don't like, but on what we do like and what we're going to change and what we're committed to changing. Number four, we must distance ourselves from extremism and take a firm centre-right stand. UKIP was and must become again the voice of the masses, the active representatives of the working class, an accolade we risk losing. We have a manifesto to guide us. The other group, in my opinion, are an unmanageable team who could never govern Britain, trying to put together extreme Marxists like Claire Fox with Anne Widdecombe and extreme right is an explosion just waiting to happen. Number five, we must put an end to internal bickering, backbiting, and infighting. We have one cause we must fight for. Let's stop fighting one another and let's fight for the party, for the future, for the manifesto, for Britain. Number six, as I say, we must return to centre stage and once again become the party that represents the beliefs and concerns of the majority of British people while protecting all peace-loving minority groups. Let me repeat that. We must return to centre stage and once again be the party that represents the beliefs and concerns of the majority of British people while protecting all peace-loving minority groups. Number seven, we must peacefully release those who have a different agenda and unite around other than UKIP's policies and manifesto. We have to be united. If there has to be a division, there has to be, but we have to go forward. The manifesto is the thing which holds us together. That's the uniqueness. It's not an individual. The party's had incredible leaders, people that have influenced the nation. But we have to stand together around the manifesto. We have to stand together around the important issues, the key issues that concern the British public. Number eight, we must clarify that far from being racist, we represent every citizen of the United Kingdom, no matter what their background, religion, ethnicity, colour or race. We are the party that will fight for them. It's only violence, hate and repression we oppose, no matter where it comes from. We must not back off for fear of being misunderstood for such issues as sustainable immigration, which has nothing to do with racism at all, and has to do with a failing health system, mass unemployment, and a serious homelessness issue. These issues affect every Brit, no matter what their ethnic origin. We must be unashamedly vocal about the issues important to British people. The other group are just trying to be another politically correct party and will never address these issues like uncontrollable immigration. Number 11, we must be proud of our manifesto. As I said, UKIP is not built around a man or a woman, but around the most brilliant and inclusive manifesto any party has ever produced. A manifesto which alone can put the great back into Great Britain. Number 12, we must reward loyalty. Now, we know who the loyal people are. Turn and clap the person beside you. We've lost a few opportunists, many of whom will try to come back if they don't get their own way with the other group. But I don't recommend making it very easy. I recommend looking around this room today and seeing who the loyal people are, who the people who've stood, who the people who haven't taken an opportunity or run. I'd rather have 300 loyal people than 3,000 people that I can't trust. Someone said to me, well, we want them all back. I said, well, don't make it too easy. Or it's like when a husband cheats on his wife, if she makes it too easy, he'll do it again quickly. Make him suffer a little bit. Number 13, we must carefully select candidates who are passionate to represent the majority view of the British people and to fight for their constituents and for our country. Number 14, we must become the voice for pensioners.
Yeah.
And this is very important. This is my passion. Both of my parents have died now, which means if you're very rich and I'm an orphan and you can adopt me. Both of my parents died. I saw the government try to take their home away. I saw the government try to take any savings they had away. We have a pension system where British pensioners receive half of the pension of the Spanish.
Stay with the mic.
Half the pension of the Spanish. They receive 1/3 of what the French pensioners receive and 1/4 of what German pensioners receive. And yet I see no political party which is making pensioners their priority. And it's my recommendation to you because a key percentage of those who voted Leave are pensioners. I believe it is the biggest vote-winning policy you could promote. But above that, it's the most important issues. They've given their life to make this country what it is, and we need to look after them when they need to retire or when they need care. Families shouldn't lose their inheritance because their parents can no longer look after themselves. And we need to fight. These, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, but these are the issues UKIP needs to be getting press about, needs to be known about. And I conclude. Number 15, we must fight for our country, as my parents and grandparents did, to fight to restore independence for the UK. The EU is nothing less than Hitler's dream. The thing which my parents and grandparents risked their lives to stop. And that is why we're here today. That is why UKIP exists. That's why it's not the end of UKIP, but just the beginning.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Peter Gammons.